Okay, so in this vlog I'm going to be talking about the directors and some of their previous work and the sort of areas which they've gone into specifically. So this may vary from director to director. Some of them have gone from the music video industry to then television to then film, whereas others have literally just done music videos their whole time but have been just as successful. So that's the sort of thing which I've gone for. I've also tried to find a nice range, some which have been a little bit more successful than others, you could say. But they're all equally as interesting. So first of all, I want to talk about David Fincher. He has worked on a lot of music videos, like there was too many to list. So I decided that I was going to try and pick some of his earlier ones and then get a few dotted around and then a more recent one which he's done. So starting it off, I got Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield in 1985, and we go all the way down to Justin Timberlake, Suit and Tie in 2013. So even from the dates you can see that he's been doing this a really long time, and clearly he must be quite well known and sought after if he can still get a lot of business, really. So David has also worked in 3 different TV series, The House of Cards, Mindhunters and Love, Death and Robots. So in House of Cards he only directed 2 episodes, in Mindhunter it was 7 episodes, and then in Love, Death and Robots it was like throughout the whole thing, which is pretty cool actually. When it came to films, I was kind of surprised about how many he's done, if I'm honest, but they're all kind of horror films, which sort of says a lot about his music videos and his whole stylistic trend, but we'll come back to that in a minute. So some of the films which he's done are Alien 3, Seven, The Final Game, Fight Club, Panic Room, Zodiac, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, The Social Network, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Gone Girl. So within these films he's worked with companies such as 20th Century Fox, New Line Cinema, Polygram, Columbia, Paramount, Warner Brothers. So he's really soared in that idea, because clearly he gets along with all of them. So that's really good actually. So moving on to the stylistic trends about David Fincher. So I decided that I was going to do them specifically for the music videos only, because I felt as though if I did it for all of the categories that'd be a very, very long video, and we'll try not to do that this time, hopefully. Okay, so first of all I want to talk about, even though colour TV was introduced like way before his first music, well, one of his earlier music videos in 1985, 4 out of the 7 which I'm going to be talking about were actually still in black and white, including his most recent with Justin Timberlake. So it's quite nice to see that he reflects like an older patterned idea, but it still works really well, to be fair, and it definitely, although it can't grab the audience's attention with the colour, it grabs it because of the really contrasting black and white, and that it is quite unusual nowadays to see a whole music video in black and white. Normally they'll have like a low saturation or something like that going on, but it's interesting to see that he's doing his own thing for it. For this example, I thought that the Rolling Stones would be good, as there was a sort of hazy effect as well on it, which just added again quite a stylistic touch. It wasn't just this music video in particular which I saw, it was a trend across the 4 out of 7 which I have for my black and white videos. For all of the videos which I looked at for David Fincher, there was a common theme of having the typical band music feature playing somewhere. Although a lot of these bands are playing in quite different places. For example, the Hooters, they were playing in, I think it was like a laundry room or something like that. There were loads of sheets everywhere, and it's cute, but then at the same time, it's not normal. And I think that's why the audience actually is grabbed by it and drawn in, which is something, I suppose. I really personally like this touch and I want to do it myself, but what David Fincher does is for almost all of these, I think it was 6 out of 7, he includes like a very short montage of short and sharp clips, like cut together, and it works so well. But I think why I like it so much is you can say so much in this and introduce a whole new situation and story, and it really grabs the audience's attention. What's also good about this is that all of the clips, they're not all the same length. Some are a little bit longer to give you a little bit more details, when others are so quick it's like ridiculous. But then you still pick up the details because it's just flashing past your eye. So I think that this is definitely an idea which I will personally want to take on. So yeah. So my next point for David Fincher is that almost all of his characters have an angelic glow about them. It definitely, to me personally, it reflects quite an old style for music videos. Even some of his latest ones have got that angelic glow, though. It does stand out, but I suppose at the time when all of these were made, it was quite a typical normal thing to have for the artists and main act to be sort of glowing and everything like that. They especially use this for where women are involved, as they sort of do quite a wash of a face and then have this glow coming off of them, which makes them seem more pretty, which it definitely does. I've seen this as well in one of my videos which I analysed near the beginning, Because of You. When it went on to just her single figure talking to the camera, she had quite a glow about her. It was really nice, actually. It was nicely done. So the next point which I want to talk about is that all of the music videos had women involved at some point. So sometimes it was quite suggestive with what they're wearing, other times they're wearing very little clothing, or sometimes they'll have like a white sheet across them. Again, it's quite a suggestive thing, as they're normally bed sheets or something like that. Otherwise you wouldn't really pull down a curtain. But anyway, yeah, I think this is quite interesting, the fact that he does this throughout his videos. Personally, I'm not sure that I would want somebody wrapped up in a bedsheet on mine, but you never know. I do have a few ideas where I like the idea of somebody wearing quite floaty clothing, but I'm not sure we'll go for bedsheets. Maybe we will. We'll find out. It definitely works well in wind and when they are lying down, though. That is one thing I have to say. So I really like that. Okay, so the next point I want to talk about for David Fincher is that most of the time they have very well placed lighting to light up the subject and completely change the angle for what they're looking like. I quite like this idea of like a moody lighting set. I'm not sure if I'd have it throughout. Yeah, I love the way in which they place it either beneath the subject or just to the side of the subject, and then how it catches half of their body and then the other half is such a big contrast. It really does grab the audience's attention straight on the subject, even though only half of them's lit up. I think that that's really clever, and I would like to do something about that. So finally, something which I want to talk about is that in a lot of David Fincher's music videos, it does include a rebellious act. They're not always like, oh my god, what are you doing? But they're rebellious for when they came out. In Jesse's Girl, for example, they do end up smashing the mirror with a guitar. It's not like shockingly out there, but then it's still a little bit like, oh my god, are you okay? Okay, so this sums up my vlog about David Fincher and the sort of stylistic trends which he does.